Am I audible? Hello? Hello? Hello, anybody, can you please unmute yourself and tell me whether I'm audible or not? Hello? All right. Okay. Thank you, Kirti. Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to the next session of Prerna Schemes General Engineering with me. I'm Assistant Professor Atksha Sharma, and please let me just share my screen with you. Give me a second. Okay. All right. So today's topic is parts of speech. We read about it yesterday, and now we are going to continue it. We'll be covering verbs, adverbs, basically in today's class. Okay. So in all, there are, I taught you yesterday, there are in all 8 parts of speech. Noun, pronoun, adjective, verb, adverb, preposition, conjunction, and interjection. I hope you all have heard about it. Yesterday we covered noun, pronoun, adjective. Today we'll cover verb and adverb, as well as we are going to cover the verb noun agreement. Okay, I'll tell you what it is and how to identify it. All right. So now I hope everybody knows this. We'll take a quick revision right now about it. So noun is used to identify or give a name to a person, place, thing, animal, or food. Okay. So moving on to pronoun. Pronoun is nothing but it replaces the noun. Example is he, she, it, they, someone who, etc. I gave you the example yesterday that okay, let's take Kirti for example. So Kirti ate food, then Kirti took her take her dog for a walk, then Kirti met her friends. So Kirti is very repetitive. So Kirti is a noun, it's very repetitive. So what we can do is we can replace it to make it very simple and very fluent. So how we can replace it? Kirti ate food and she took took her dog to a walk. Okay, so we replaced Kirti with she. Okay, so that's how pronouns work. Moving on to adjectives. Adjectives are nothing but it modifies, okay, it describes the noun or pronoun. Okay, it is very descriptive. So if I'll give you an example of sharp, I've taught you yesterday. So if I'm talking about knife. Okay, it's a knife. I want to give it a little bit more depth. Knife, what kind of knife? So a sharp knife. So is sharp gives the depth. It gives the descriptive knowledge about the knife. So similarly, blue, we can say a blue ocean. Okay, so blue is giving more depth. It is giving the color. It is giving the adjective to a noun. All right. Moving on, then we read about the order, word order or adjective order. Basically, this is the order that you have to follow no matter what, whatever sentence you are making or you are reading, you should read while keeping this order in mind. Okay, if you follow this order, your sentence will be meaningful and it will be very conveying. तुम जो भी सामने वाले को बोलना चाह रहे हो, अगर तुमने ये order में बोला, तो it will be very easy to understand. Okay, और वैसे ही अगर तुमने इस order में पढ़ा, तो it will be very easy to understand. So the order goes as quantity, that's number, then quality, how is it, good, bad, worst, etc. Then the size, big, small, medium, etc. Then age, ancient or vintage or new, old, average, etc. Then shape, what's the shape of your thing is, whatever you're talking about. I gave you the example of couch yesterday. So shape can be any shape, round, circular, like oval, then triangle, hexagon, pentagon, any. Then the color, you know colors, right? So it can be any color. Then origin is basically where that thing is from, or where that thing you want from. Okay, I gave you the example of Italian leather couch yesterday. Okay, so I said leather. So the last order is material. Material can be anything. It can be glass, it can be wood, it can be metal, it can be leather, cotton, anything it can be. Okay, so make a sentence while keeping this order in mind. Follow this order so your sentence will be good to go. Anyhow, moving forward. Uh, so this is the first part of the lesson because I want to talk about now that you are a person, place or thing, you got to do things. Right, like right now I'm talking, which is a verb. Um which we are going to learn in next session, like right now, in a second. And we'll talk about the words and how they work. So if you're ready, we're good to go then. Okay, so well, we talk about noun, pronouns, adjective, how they work together. Remember, a pronoun can replace a noun, the order they come in, or they order, or in which, or the order in which they are. Anyhow, now I want to talk about actions because a noun or a thing that doesn't do anything is kind of boring, right? So noun should do something, some action. So what do you mean by action here? Well, I've told you that right now I'm talking, my mouth is moving, I'm talking to you, but I'm also changing the slides. I am breathing. So, look at this funny word we call verbs. This is how they work. Like, well, verb have traditionally been defined as words that show action or a state of being. Okay, please remember, verb is a state of being or a particular action. Verb can also sometimes be recognized by their position in sentence, where they are placed. Okay, so if I'll give you the example of suffix, that is ify or ize or ate or en, so usually signifies that a word is a verb. Whichever word have these suffix, usually they are a verb. Okay, so example is typify or characterize, IZE, or irrigate, ATE, and sweeten, EN. Okay, so action verbs are words that express action. Okay, so express action means the actions that they do. We take a pronoun or a noun and they act. If a pronoun or noun is acting in a way, that's a verb. It can be any. It can be give, eat, walk, eat. Okay, eat, I said twice. Then sleep, work, etc. Anything. Or the possession, like I have it, I own it, I own a car, I own a house, etc. Okay, so they can be anything. That's what a noun can do. And we talked about, you guys remember subjects and objects pronouns? We talked about it yesterday. The subject pronoun does it to an object pronoun, one of these action. For example, I ate an apple. So in this sentence, I ate an apple. In this sentence, I is the subject. Okay, I am the subject. Eating an apple is the object. So we put this word here, the verb, to tell you how two things are working together. Uh, this is really funny, but verbs are a state of being. But being what? Being, well, existing, okay, or exist. Like right now, I exist. Right now, you exist. If we stop being in a state of being, then we'll disappear, right? I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to explain the verb. Verb is nothing but a state of being. Okay, so being means you are there, you exist, you are real, or you can be touched. Okay, but it's not just that. Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I'm sick, and sometimes I'm healthy. Okay, so you will notice how we use the verb to be to talk about those things. And we can use this verb to be, that is to be with an adjective, and it tells us how something is right now. Like right now, it's cold the situation or how things are right now. You can take any example, right now I'm a little sick, right now I'm a little hungry, etc. There are many examples. So that's my state of being, okay, right now. You can be like, you can make any sentence like right now, you can say I'm very happy, like you can say I'm very happy my friend came to my house. So that's the state of your being. You are happy that your friends came to your house. uh, so this is what a verb means. That's a state or how you are feeling or how you are currently. In short, those are the emotions. You are happy, sad, upset, exuberant, which means very happy. Exuberant means very happy. So that's your emotions. So this is what verbs do. They can tell us the action one noun is doing to other noun. I'll repeat it again. Verbs tells us the action one noun is doing to other noun. In that case, we talked about subject and object pronouns, but we can also talk about how things are. The world is good. How is it? The world is good. Okay, let's move to the types of verbs. Okay, so basically there are four types of verbs. First one is intransitive, second is transitive, third is linking, fourth is passive. Okay, so intransitive and transitive verbs are in the active voice, while passive verbs are in passive voice. Okay, so intransitive verbs are the verbs that express action but that do not take any object. Okay, it is not taking any object. A transitive verb always have a noun that receives the action of the verb. This is called the direct object. We read about the subject and object yesterday. I hope you all are following. Okay, so now let's move to the adverbs. Do you remember when we talked about adjective and we said add to ject, and that was because you have subject and object over here. In adjective, I revise it again. Here it is add, and here it is adjective. Okay, please excuse me with my this writing thing. So we divided this adjective word into two parts, that is adding something, and ject. I've told you that we have ject in object and in subject as well. Okay, so uh, we have the same thing here. We add to verbs, which means we give more description. With the help of adverbs, we are adding to verbs. That means we are making it more descriptive. Like descriptive of what the word was doing or what the verb is doing. Okay, it's one thing to run, then to run quickly or to run slowly. That's the different, right? It's not the same. uh, so adverbs describes the action of verbs, but unlike an adjective that just describes the pronouns, adverbs describes verbs, adverbs, and adjective. Okay, I'll repeat again. Adjective describes only pronouns, but adverb describes verbs, adverbs, and adjectives. So, adverb is very, very busy over here. So, it's got a lot of work to do, and it's going to be my job to show you how it does that work. Okay, an adverb is interesting because it adds information to how things are done. uh, I'll ask you students to please keep your please take down the notes of whatever I'm saying. That will help you in future a lot. Okay, so an adverb is a word that modifies a verb, an adjective, another adverb, or even a whole sentence. Okay, adverbs often end in ly. Okay, but some, such as fast, look exactly same as their adjective counterparts. Okay, fast, you can't say fastly. Okay, you can't add this, so it's a counterpart. It's fast. It is impossible to tell by the appearance of the word that it is an adverb. Okay, we can't say, nobody can say like just like that okay, this word is an adverb. Okay, that can't be done. Indeed, the same word may be an adverb in one sentence and a different part of speech, such as noun or adjective, in another sentence. Okay, same word can be any part of speech in the same sentence. Okay, so it is impossible to identify it. The only, so how one can identify it? The only way one can recognize an adverb is by the work an adverb is doing in a sentence. Okay, so we have to we have to give particular attention to the work an adverb is doing. Okay, so by that we can identify it. Okay, in doing that, first of all, we should talk about its position. Generally, adverbs are found after the verb but before the adjective it modifies. So let's do one at a time. Do you remember I was running? Like I said, I was running, and I said I am running slowly or I am running quickly. In that case, I ran. I want to know what the noun or pronoun is doing and then how it ran. Okay, so how it ran? In this case, ran quickly or slowly. Okay, notice it follows after the verb. This is generally true. So I can give you an example. I ran quickly to my house. This is an example. Okay, now I talked about adjectives, where it comes in a sentence. It comes after verb and before adjective it modifies. So this was the adjective we talked about. And I don't want to get it too complicated, but I'll show you here. So I'll give you an example that what I'll give you an example which goes as that watch is so expensive. Well, that watch is the subject we are talking about, and we are saying it is expensive. Okay, then if I get rid of so expensive, remember we talked about stative verbs. Okay, so we are saying the watch is expensive, right? But how expensive is it? I don't know. It's so expensive, which means very expensive. So we actually use an adverb to describe, to tell us the degree or amount of expensiveness. It is very expensive. That means a lot of expensive. An adverb we are using here. Okay, so you need a lot of money to get that watch. So adverbs help by noticing it still following the rule, following the verb, but it helps to give more information about the adjective which is telling us about the watch. So watch is very expensive. So adverbs are really cool because they make everything better. They enhances everything. I hope you like that. Okay. But what I want to let you know is there's something else about adverbs. There's not just one, but there are few types of adverbs. There are four types of adverbs basically. So now let's take a quick look at what these four are. The types of adverbs we can talk about. Number one, we can talk about adverb of manner. Okay, so that's so kind of you. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. No, I'm not talking about adverbs being polite or nice or showing those kind of manners. Well, I'm saying what I'm saying here is when we say adverb of manner, it is how something happens. Something happens slowly, something happens, uh, some things happen very quickly, some things happen slowly or very quickly or very fast. So in this case, when we say, how did it happen? Did it happen slowly or quickly? Both. How it happens over time. Okay, so that's the adverb of manner. Now we'll talk about adverb of time. So this is when something happened. When something happened. Well, did it happen yesterday or today or it'll happen tomorrow? These are adverbs because they are going to tell you when it happened in time, or it could happen all day long. It rained all day. So that shows adverb of time, right? Rained, and notice it followed after verb all day. Verbs of place, the third one. The verbs of place tells us where it happened. Okay, so it can be anywhere. Where did it happen? Here, there, or everywhere. So place, it identifies or defines. Okay, and finally verb of degree. So that one I was talking about over here was, so like when I gave you the example of watch, I told you it's very expensive, so very, and two. So people often get confused with so and two, TOO2 and so over here. So we can actually, okay, so was it small or really, really big? In that case, so means very or a lot. So means a lot. Very means very, but to is usually negative or a bad thing. And it means more than I like or more than what I want. Like it's more than what I like. It's too much for me, like that. Okay. Uh, like you can say this much grammar in one lesson, it's too much for me to take in. That's an example. So that's too. It is generally used in a negative sentence. Okay, so when we use adverbs of degree, we can talk about it was too hot yesterday, so I didn't go out of my house. Too hot for me. It was very hot means a high temperature or lot of temperature, or it was so hot, found it to be a lot. Okay. Now we have talked about adverbs, the type of adverbs, where they work or how they follow with verbs. I'm going to ask you, did you understand the lesson till here? I hope you all are following what am I teaching and you all are with me. Okay. So moving on, I'll give you some detailed examples of verbs here. Again, remember the parts of speech are the categories that every word in a sentence belongs to, and recognizing each word will help you understand how to analyze a sentence for meaning, for composition, for understanding the questions in your gate examination, for all kind of things, and how to write sentences as well. Okay, so again, technically this is for like intermediate students and advanced students as well. A lot of you can gain from this. Then the types of verbs we already talked about. So here, first off, we have be. That is B-E-B. Just a second. I'll use the pointer here. Be. Okay. We are talking about this. So we have the be verb. Am, is, are, was, where, will be. Okay, these are the examples, right? So these are the be verbs. These talk about the state or situation, okay, of something happening. There's no action. There's just state. Please keep it different. There's no action. There's just state. Okay, state of being. What we read earlier. Okay, what is the situation of the context we are talking about? It's very important and probably the most used verb of all the verbs here. Then you have active verbs. For example, you have play or you have give. Play, give. So you are giving something, or you are playing tennis, or you're playing football, etc. So these are the activities. These can be written in passive form. Okay, so we played, passive form. In a passive form, we can write the sentence in. So we played or is played. How can we use is played? Okay, so tennis was played by all the kids. That's an example. Then tennis was played by all the kids. So again, not the best sentence, but that's the verb I have given you an example of. Okay, now active or passive verbs where something is actually happening. So there's an action, and it's very important to realize that action verb comes in transitive or intransitive forms. Okay, here I have written transitive or intransitive forms. Sometimes ambitransitive also exists. So ambitransitive means they can be transitive or intransitive, depends on how they are used. A transitive verb must take an object. I told you before, a transitive verb must take an object. Okay, as always. Okay, here it is written intransitive words that do not take an object. So transitive must take an object. So how? A transitive verb, if it is using an object. So for example, I'll give you of want, W-A-N-T, want. Okay, so want is actually not a active verb, but it's a transitive verb. And a transitive verb must take the object. So you always want something. You want what? You want to play. So want always takes an object. Okay, I hope I'm clear with this. Whereas intransitive does not take an object. For example, go. Go where? Where does not work as an object, it works as an adverb. So go will never have an object, it will have an adverbial complement, which is a different lesson altogether. Okay, if you want to understand how these things work, I'll suggest you please start reading grammar as much as possible. Okay, so now there's something called state verb. We have seen be verb, we have seen active passive, transitive, intransitive. Now we'll see state. Okay, so state verb, what it is. So active passive is done. Now there's something, for example, believe. I'll give you an example of believe. The word believe or the word understand or know or think. Okay, so I gave you the example of 4 words. Okay, believe, understand, know, think. So here we use these like action verbs in terms of construction. What I'm trying to say is there is no action. There is no action. There is zero action. When you say, I believe you are correct, believe I'm not doing anything. Okay. There is no action. It is not doing anything. It's just in my head. Correct. That's it. So it is not doing anything. It is just there. It is in the head, in my head, in the person's head, in the verb's noun's head. Okay. So there's no action, and state verb we never use in the ing form. Okay, always keep this in mind. If there is a state verb, there can never be ing in the suffix. Okay, never use them in a continuous form. That's the main thing to remember about the state verbs. Then you have another one, that is linking or copula verb. So example of that is he seems happy. Okay, he seems happy. There is no action here. He seems happy, no action. Okay, following? I hope you all are. Nothing is actually happening in that sentence. It's just describing a situation, and it's very similar to a be verb, this be. It's a situation. He seems happy. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but he is not. I'm not doing anything. He's not doing anything. It's just my idea of his state or his feelings. So again, we use these also like action verbs, but there's no action involved here. Then you have your models. The fifth one, like will, can, could, may, might, should. These are all verbs that are used with other verbs. I hope you're following. So, will, can, could, may, might, should. These all are the verbs which is used with the other verbs. Okay, so by themselves, but with another verbs, it is used. So, example is he can. Yes, he can, but can means what? Can he swim? For an example. So, yes, he can swim. Can be able to. That's how this verb works. So, these model gives you a little bit of extra information about the main verb. Will is used to talk about the future. For example, I will do the homework. Would is talking about the hypothetical situation, like uh, you might have secured first position if you would have studied. Okay, so that's a hypothetical situation. It can't be a hypothetical situation. You can come first in your class if you study properly. Okay, moving on. Then should. Should is always a recommendation. Like a person, everyone should do yoga. So that's a recommendation. You should do yoga. A recommendation. May is probability. Okay, this may happen, that may happen, probability, probably. Okay, so each of these models has a particular function, and you should study the different models and the different functions each has. Then coming on to auxiliary. These are helping verbs. For example, be, that's BEB, then do, then have. Okay, be, do, have. These are the helping verbs. These are the auxiliary verbs. They are used to help the main verb to do its actions. So, for example, if you have a present perfect verb, you have, H-A-V-E, have. I'll just write it down over here. Okay, please pardon my handwriting. Then has, S. Okay, so what are these? These are the present perfect verbs. Okay, you have or has as the helping verb. In a question, you use a helping verb. How? I'll explain you how. How can you use a helping verb in a question? So, did go or went you? You didn't do that. Okay, like you split the verb into its auxiliary and its main verb. Okay, split it into auxiliary and its main. The auxiliary takes the tense. Okay, so about the tenses, we are going to read in next session. We are going to read the tenses about the tenses in next session. Whoever has turned on their mic, please turn it off. Okay. Okay, moving on. So the auxiliary takes the tenses, I told you, but again, that's a different lesson altogether. We'll talk about it in next session. And then when it comes to verb, it's very, very important that you study the tenses. Past, present perfect, and know how to use the base verb means just the verb by itself. The idea of verb, not the action or anything like that, or the infinitive to verb, to verb. Okay, the base verb and tenses. Okay, these are the aspects of verbs over here. Aspects of verbs are what? Tenses and the base. Okay, so for example, to be, to play, to want. Okay, so these are the different types of word you need to study. These are the aspects of verbs that I've told you, like tenses and base, that you really need to study. Now, every English sentence, every clause in English, whatever sentence it may be, whatever clause it may be in English, has a verb in it. And then you will know how to use them. Now, at least one verb as the main verb and then other verbs as infinitives or base verbs, like over here, aspects of verb. Okay, so study these. Now, I highly recommend that you get yourself a good grammar book and start using them correctly. Okay, so now we're going to look at adverbs again, like not exactly adverbs, but in a more descriptive way. So it's very important to remember that adverbs are multifunctional. I told you that they do many things, and there are many different types of adverbs. If you want to talk about pace over here, like for example, pace, the first one. So I walked fast, for example. So it's my pace I'm talking about. I walked quickly. I walked fast. Talking about the pace, the speed. Okay. If you want to talk about the strength, the second one over here, he lifted weights angrily, can say, or whatever. So you got it, right? With some sort of intensity or quality is one thing. Intensity, like very happy. So I have an adjective here. I am very happy. Instead of just saying happy, I am very happy, I said. Okay, like intensify the sentence by using a verb very. Okay, I am making it more intense. I'm more intensifying it, or I can do so the other way as well. I can mitigate it. I can make it less happy. It's not compulsory that you have to exaggerate, like you have to intensify it only. You can mitigate it as well, like making it less happy. So what you can say it, I'm somewhat happy. Okay, so that's an example. So quality, then intensity, then negation. So negation is like no or not. These are actually adverbs. So another one is expectancy or expectations altogether. So for example, already and yet. If you can make a sentence using these words, like I haven't done it yet. Okay, or I have already done it. So already also came, yet also came in different sentences. So these are the expectancy. So these are the adverbs. They tell you about expectations about something that's already happened, something that hasn't uh, describe verbs. Lot of different ways. There are a lot of different ways to describe adjectives, and if you think about what's happened, it can be about time. For example, I just finished. So, lot of different ways to describe a verb. Lot of different ways to describe adjective, I've told you. So, like, I speak very slowly or I speak very fast. Slowly describes speak. The verb speak is verb. Very describes slowly the adverb. So you can have many different adverbs in sentence. I'll repeat. The sentence was I speak very slowly. So slowly describes speak. That's a verb. Very describes slowly. That's a adverb. So you can have many different adverbs in a sentence. Some will modify verbs, some will modify adjectives, some will modify another adjective or other adjective. So you can mix them all up and understand it. Now you can have a simple adverb like fast, slow, slowly, quickly, highly, intentionally. In many cases, you can take an adjective and add ly in it. Okay, so I told you in the this slide. Okay, just use ly. Okay, but not always. You can, as there are the adjective counterparts as well, such as fast. Then there are other words that are just adverbs by themselves, like for example, very. They're just it itself. It is an adverb. Very is just an adverb. You are not going to use it in any other way, as it is an intensifier. Okay. Now I could tell you with all kinds of different adverbs, but like I would recommend you should buy yourself a good grammar book and study the different type of adverbs because there are many, there are plenty, there are like n number of adverbs out there. Okay, so try to pick out the adverbs whenever you read a sentence. Okay, try to pick out adjectives in that, try to pinpoint the noun, pronoun. So that's how you learn. Now, another way adverbs are used, we have adverb clause to talk about or to describe a relationship between independent clause and a time or a reason and purpose. So, although over here, last one, although. Okay, work. It did. Okay, although I like to eat pizza, I don't eat it often. Understood what I said? What I said? Other way adverbs are used, we have adverb clause to talk about or to describe relationship between an independent clause and a time and a reason and purpose. So we use all together there. I gave you the example, although I like to eat pizza, I don't eat it often. Often, frequency adverb. Often is an frequency adverb. Different is like another type. Often is an adverb. I've told you, don't eat, modify. It is modifying the eat often. Okay, and not in this sentence is a negation. Over here, I've told you about the negation. Here. All right. So don't eat, modifying, eat often. So you have adverbs all over the place. You have to know how they are being used. Another thing to remember, adverbs often ask questions in a sentence. They don't ask what or whom. Okay, they do not ask what or whom, as I've mentioned over here. They answer where, by, or how. Okay, so these would be objects. I'll explain you how. I went. I went where? to the store. To the store, although it's a prepositional phrase, and again, we are going to talk about that prepositions in next class or next class. This is acting as an adverb to answer the question where. Okay, I went where. So I went to the store. Another example is the building was designed by a famous architect. So designed by whom? Famous architect. It's answer to the question whom. So that's actually an adjective object preposition. So you have to understand what's the relationship between the phrases and the verbs, or whatever the clause is that comes before it. Okay. So adverb often answer these other questions: where, why, how, when, etc. For what purpose? So these are the adverbs, but again, lots of other different types are present out there. Okay, so moving on to the last segment of this class, that is verb-noun agreement. So what it is? Some noun and pronoun seems to be plural, but functions as trick singular. Okay, not singular, trick singular. So there must be correct verb agreement with trick singular nouns and pronouns. I'll give you an example of this. Example of this is everybody. Okay, a singular noun which refers to a group. It's a singular noun, but it is referring to a group. Okay, it's a trick singular. Like everybody is happy. I hope you're following me. Okay, so agreement is an important concept in grammar and a source of many writing errors. So you have to keep this in mind, how verb-noun agreement works. Nouns must agree with their verbs, which means that a singular noun requires a singular verb. Okay, सिंगुलर नाउन है तो वहां सिंगुलर वर्ब का रिक्वायरमेंट होगा. सिंगुलर नाउन है तो तुम प्लूरल वर्ब यूज नहीं कर सकते हो. Okay, and a plural noun requires a plural verb, as I've told you. To emphasize the rights individually, use a plural verb. Take a look. I'll give you an example over here. Describe if they are noun, verbs, or adjective. You can do that. Noun, a word that refers to a person, place, thing, event, substance, or quality, etc. Anything it can be: nose, cat, party, apple, oil, anything it can be. Okay, a noun. Then verb, a word or phrase that describes an action. I've told you, verb is an action. Yesterday we talked about things. Okay, things comes in noun. Okay, whereas verbs are doing something. Okay, so verb is an action or a condition or an experience. Okay, experience, anything it can be. It can be a feeling. Like I gave you the example of running. So run, look, anything it can be. Okay, so it's an action. It describes an action of a noun. So with this, I have covered everything. So I'll take you for a quick revision of our class. So parts of speech, there are 8 parts of speech. Just a second. Okay, so all right, we covered noun, pronoun, adjective, verb, adverb till now. Tomorrow we'll read about preposition, conjunction, and interjection. So if you have any doubt now about noun, pronoun, adjective, adjective order, verb, types of verbs, adverbs, types of adverbs, or detailed examples which we read about adverbs, or the verb noun agreement. So far, you can ask me if you have any doubt. Anybody? You can write down your doubts. If not, then I'll give you an example before that. Okay, so question over here is choose the most appropriate alternative from the option given below to complete the following sentence. Okay, so what the sentence is? The sentence is if the tired soldier wanted to lie down, he dashed the mattress out on the balcony. So option A is should take, option B is shall take, option C is should have taken, and option D is will have taken. So just write in the comment box the right answer you think is. Anyone? Uh, what can be the right answer over here? Okay, so after verbs like stop, suggest, enjoy, contemplate a verb plus ing. Okay, it's a verb plus ing form. So the choice should be yeah, A. The choice should be A. The given sentence is a conditional sentence if plus verb is equals to will, or if plus verb should or would. Okay, past tense. So here it is wanted. So what the answer will be? Should. That is A. Should take. So how the sentence will be formed? If the tired soldiers wanted to lie down, he should take the mattress out on the balcony. Okay. The next example is one of the parts, that is A, B, C, or D in the sentence given below contains an error. Which one of the following is correct? Okay, so the sentence is I requested that he should be given the driving test today instead of tomorrow. The sentence is I requested that he should be given the driving test today instead of tomorrow. So options are requested that, should be given the driving test instead of tomorrow. So what's the incorrect option over here? Okay, I'll explain you again. The error is he should be given. Read the sentence again. I requested that he should be given the driving test today instead of tomorrow. So the correct way of writing the sentence is he should give. I requested that he should give the driving test today instead of tomorrow. Okay. So another example I'll give. Choose the most appropriate words from the options given below to complete the following sentence. I contemplated dash Singapore for my vacation but decided against it. Okay, so the answer should be C. How? Because it is having a verb plus ing form. So I contemplated visiting Singapore for my vacation but decided against it. All right, students. So we'll wind up now with this session. I hope you all enjoyed it. All right. I'll see you in my next session. If you have any other doubt, you can please write it down in the chat box. All right. Thank you, everyone.